What's up, everybody? This is the Tied to the Land podcast, where we believe that everybody is tied to the land in some way, shape, or form. On this podcast, we'll explore the intimate connection that people feel with the land beneath their feet, while telling the stories of folks whose lives have been impacted by their roots to the rural lifestyle. This podcast is brought to you by Arrowhead Land Company, where their mission is to create, inspire, or advance a connection to the land in every person throughout the world. What is up, everybody? This is the Tied to the Land podcast. My name's Andrew Schultz, and I've got two fellow Hayworthians from Hayworth, Illinois. Originally, they live in Bloomington, Illinois, but Jake and Brittany Frink. My gut wants to say Brittany Zendars because I knew you before you were married to Jake. But man, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is one that I've really been looking forward to, and lost touch with you guys for several years here. And then, like social media does, you guys resurfaced in my life, and I took a look at what y'all are doing and enjoying the outdoors and seeking some adventures with your family, and really admire the lifestyle you guys seem to be living as a family. And so one of my favorite things to do is have husbands and wives on the podcast at the same time. And so appreciate you guys being on today and rearranging your work schedules to make this happen.
Absolutely.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourselves. Since you are married, since you do have a family, you can go back. You can start on the Tomahawk Court days if you want. It doesn't have to be that far back, but just tell everybody about yourselves.
Well, first off, I'm Brittany, and this is my husband, Jake. We have two beautiful kids, Aniston, who's 9, our son, Noah, that's 6. But before we had this journey together, we were backyard neighbors. My mom and dad had separated, and my mom had to move, and we moved behind this guy. And both of our parents have in-home daycares, and they still do today. And they're both still backyard neighbors. So our stories might be a little bit different on how I think we met. But what is true is that every time I would go and get into my pool, he would come out and start cleaning his pool.
I think I was out cleaning your purse. Yeah. We didn't even need those. We're like 10 feet apart. So.
But all this to say, I just have to joke. He was 4 years older than me. We were just friends, all of us neighborhood kids, including Andrew, we all just hung out and had fun. And then about age 17, we realized, wow, we really like each other, let's go on some walks. And we would walk all over Hayworth every single night, and we just talked, and we fell in love, truly. I mean, still to this day, I have told Jake, the way that I look at him is the way I looked at him as a young girl. And now we're, in our 30s, and it's just crazy. It's been so
almost
long.
40. That's
He's
crazy.
almost 40, Andrew.
That is wild.
Insane.
That makes me feel old, and you're older than me.
Yeah,
like
I
that
know.
just doesn't even seem possible.
Here.
We were talking, so it's probably not clear to everybody, but I was in the neighborhood mix, literally right next door to the house that you're describing, and then catty corner from where Jake grew up living.
Yep.
And some of my earliest childhood memories, because Jake's a little bit older than me, is him and another neighborhood guy playing basketball in the driveway and dunking. And I was like, these guys are awesome, man. I want to be just like them, And I don't know. It's just crazy how life comes full circle. But you guys seem, of course, you do have a beautiful marriage and a beautiful life of love together. And I'm pumped to get into that today and how y'all have taken that and shared it with your children, and you're doing some fun stuff. So talk to everybody about what you've got going right now, the Venture Seekers, right?
Yes, with a V, yes.
With a V, yeah, not adventure, the Venture Seekers. So what's that about? How did that come about? Let's get into that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, Jake and I, when we first got married, we had never traveled much. I think our honeymoon was your first
First
plane
plane
ride.
ride, yep.
His very first plane ride, and I had been on a missionary trip before, and I've gone on a few things, but our parents just couldn't take off work. It's just that simple, and it's fine. We still had a great childhood, but we started realizing as we began to travel and we began to kind of, and you get this, Andrew, when you live in a small town, everything's very kind of small boxed in and small mindset, and that's okay if you want that. But once we started seeing the world and we started seeing different cultures and talking to people, we just fell in love with this idea of we want this. And then we took it a step further and thought, why don't we start doing things that kind of push us out of our comfort zone that are different, rather that be skydiving or scuba diving, which is a huge fear of mine of water. You know, just trying new things. And it's not only been beautiful for us, but it's strengthened our marriage. You know, we're doing things that are fun and different. And there's nothing wrong with a dinner date night, sit in your bed, Netflix, chill, whatever you want to call it. But I do think I've noticed in this era is that we kind of get stuck in a rut of a routine because it's comfortable. And we want to try to get people to get out of that sometimes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys found out that you have a mutual passion for adventure now, and y'all are traveling and seeing some awesome places with the family, doing some awesome things. But taking it back a step, you homeschool your kids, right? But
Yes.
both of you also work full-time jobs. You're doing these adventures on the side in your free time. Like, what's that like? Because there's so many families out there who they're in the thick of it, right? They're
Yes.
in the daily grind, and they're probably listening to this wondering, how are they managing to do what they're doing all at the same time, work and school and, you know, these trips and stuff. So like, how do you guys navigate that? And what would you tell people who are wondering how they can free themselves up just to do something, whether it's going a hike not far from home or whatever that might be?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, well, I'll try. I think we just prioritize just family time. So we don't do too much screen time. So it's, hey, let's go out on a hike. You know, let's go be outside and do something, whether it's something around here or, hey, let's go a state over and travel. But I think exploring with our kids and seeing their faces light up, it makes me want to work harder to give them more than what I didn't have growing up.
And to kind of piggyback off that to answer the question, because I think that's been one of the biggest questions for us is how are you honestly doing this and this? I mean, times are hard. Money, it's tight. We live in Illinois, one of the most taxed to death states. I mean, I'm over here just like, I don't know how much more they can take from us, but um,
They'll keep taking.
they
Yeah.
just keep taking. We just really sat down a few years ago, and actually when we first got married, I realized I wasn't much of a saver. I was a spender, and we had to learn real quick. We started doing what's called Dave Ramsey, which I know many people know who that is, but we did like the snowball debt method, where we're like, all right, let's start living like no one else so that we can live like no one else someday. So maybe for a temporary time, well, temporary, if it's a year, that's a long time, but it's temporary. You know, you're not going out to eat, you're not going to concerts, you're not traveling to pay off debt so that you can get financial freedom. And that's what we focused on. We didn't really know why we were doing it per se just yet. We just knew we didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And so that's usually what I tell people is like, what can you sacrifice to start paying off some debt? And then once you get to that point, for Jake and I, we were like, wait, I can stay at home and not have to work full time now so that I can homeschool the kids. And so then we went that route. And then we're like, well, wait, we want to travel. How do we make that work? And, you know, I could touch base more on this, but we started doing what's called travel hacking. So, you know, we started opening up, and this sounds so crazy, but we started opening up credit cards, getting their welcoming bonus points, putting them towards our flights and our stays, and everything was practically free. And we're like, well, this is addicting, but it's a game that you have
Not
to
been
know.
part of the Dave Ramsey plan. There's no way.
It is not a part of if
No.
Dave Ramsey heard this right now, he would say absolutely not. However,
Yeah.
I think if you're smart and you know how to pay, like use your credit card as a debit card and you know how to play the game, it's not for everybody, but it works for us. So then we did that, and then we started this adventure business. So now, you know, the adventurers are comped for us to go and showcase these adventures. It's interesting, it's different, and I know it's not how everybody's story will pan out, but anything that I can share to help other families. And I hope someday, I've said this from day one, we hope we get to a point where whoever we're working with, we want to give opportunities away for families to have that. We don't want to just share what we get to do. We want to be able to help other families to get out there, seek adventure together, and make memories.
Yeah. So tell me about how that kind of unfolded then. So y'all are taking trips as a family. You've got the secret credit card hack figured out, and you're doing some fun things together. But like, at what point did you think, okay, let's start capturing this and documenting it, and then maybe turning it into a business, and then maybe getting some of these trips comped? And like, how did that unfold as y'all were doing this?
That's another really good question. It was about what, 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, she was always big into photos and video, just capturing the moment so that we could show the kids stuff. But then, yeah.
I have always been that way. I mean, every vacation we've been on, I've always been the weird one that's like my family members would be like, why are you making a video for everything that you do? I'm like, I don't know. And for a while there, I really shrunk myself down because I thought, why am I doing this? I just have a passion for videography. I don't really know how to explain it. Jake and I recently found out that, when I listen to a song, sometimes I put pictures in my head of creating videos, and he doesn't do that. And I thought, oh, okay, that's different. But, we started really, really talking, and we've had many deep conversations of why we don't want this just safe, comfortable life all the time right now. We want to try to push ourselves and do something that's exciting and different. We truly live a very comfortable life. We're very grateful for it. We have had big conversations of selling it all and going. And that is a plan that we have, if God wants that for us. But 5-6 months ago, I was having dreams out of nowhere that were saying, you need to do this. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to. I'm homeschooling, I'm working, like I don't have time for this. And I finally looked at my husband and I said, what do you think about me really, really getting into this with you guys? And I talked to the kids and they're like, I think it's a great idea. So I just started being very vulnerable and putting ourselves out there. And I pitched I think there was one morning I worked for 3 hours pitching to businesses, close to 500 businesses of, hey, this is who we are. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to accomplish. If you would like to work with us, great. And I just got comfortable with being told no until we got our first yes. And we were like, oh my gosh, someone likes us.
That's so cool. And what was your body of work like at that point? Like, what were you pitching to these? Like, was it just an idea of, hey, here's who we are and what we're about and what we're trying to do? Or like,
Yeah.
did you have things that you could fall back on and say, see, look, this
Yeah.
is what I'm talking about?
Well, so
Because
no, go
it
ahead.
seems like it's happening, it's unfolding pretty quickly for you guys, even in the time that, we've kind of rekindled communication. And so I'm just really curious about all those no's and the yeses that you started getting. Like, what did you really have to showcase at that point?
Yeah, no, I completely understand that question. I think all the videos I had made prior to all of this was a great setup for a portfolio of, hey, like this is what I do. This is what we enjoy. This is who we are. Would you guys be willing to work with some of these ideas? I built a portfolio, and that just showcases all the places I've ever worked with. Unfortunately, things are measured, right? So you have metrics of like, do you even have any engagement on your page? Do you,
Right.
what do you have? And I was very authentic with my emails. We have nothing. Do you want to trust our family? And so I just started with a lot of businesses that actually had never worked with people like us before. And they said, yeah, we'll work with you. A lot of content creators that are in the travel industry not only get comped experiences, but they get paid for it. So in the beginning, we were offering anything that they wanted, right? Like we want them to trust us. We want them to see if we even have anything valuable to offer. And as things started to build, I just kept building our portfolio and our metrics began to change. And so now we have brands reaching out to us, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Me
awesome,
neither.
right? I mean, yeah, that's what's so great about it. I mean, I feel like from the outside looking in, people would definitely have the perception that you definitely know what you're doing,
Oh,
and
well,
I
thank
feel
you.
like that's how all things start, right? I think that's one of the biggest myths of human creation is that people have it figured out,
Yes.
or at least they appear to have it figured out, and we're all just lacing our boots up every day and going to work and
What's that
going to our
saying?
craft. And,
Fake it till you make it, right? I
yeah,
mean,
right, right. No, that's awesome. That's so great. So, like, what are some of the if you can say, what are some of the brands and people you're working with now, and what is it that you're doing for them in exchange for whatever they're doing for you?
yeah. So what we have started doing is what's called UGC, user generated content. We really want our platform to be about us, like what we showcase. And there's things I know we have to work on. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's priorities that we have as a family that I just can't sacrifice, that we're working on. But UGC is where I can make content with my family and I can send it to the brand and they can upload it for advertising, so that I don't have to sacrifice our platform for that. And then there's
Hmm.
also, the brands that we do showcase, for example, Kroger. Here soon we'll be working on some places in Iceland, which is really exciting because we've never done anything outside of the country before. We
Yeah.
have worked with a few adventure companies here in Illinois that we've been so grateful for, with skydiving, scuba diving, like an REI outdoor company. We've worked with Tobic, which is one of our favorite travel bag gears. But all that to say, a lot of the brands that we work with, it's because we truly value them. Like we really want our audience to understand that whatever we're choosing to share, it's because we know their story. We know they're a small business. We know how hard it was for them to get where they are today, and we know that they care about their customers. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of some of the brands that we've worked with.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. Jake, I mad respect for you, bro, because I see you just putting yourself out there, probably against your will, a lot of times. Where Brittany probably pitches some crazy idea, and then you go and do it with humility and just
Well,
just doing the Lord's work for this
yeah,
thing.
I got married into it because we had that character party business. So I dressed
Oh
up as
yeah,
mascots when we
I
first got
forgot
married
about.
and at birthday parties and
yeah,
stuff. So it's like that's where it started, and I just got comfortable with it, and just having fun. So
yes, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yes.
So are y'all still doing that?
no,
That
No,
character party
we
business? Okay.
we actually sold that right before COVID. My mom was like, I just have this really big feeling that we're supposed to sell. I'm like, Mom, we're doing so well. And I'm glad she followed through with that because COVID hit 2 months later. No one wants characters at their birthday parties when
Yeah.
there's a pandemic.
Cinderella in a mask.
Yeah. So yeah, but I do think that really did open him up
yeah,
because he had to just, oh
get
my
out of my comfort
goodness.
zone pretty much.
Yeah, he really did. And you
Yeah.
seem to, and he seems to enjoy the things that we're doing
Yeah,
because,
it doesn't even faze me now. Wearing outfits out in public like we just did for Halloween and
oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah, we were pretty
It's
crazy.
tradition, pretty much.
It is
Yeah.
tradition.
That's awesome. So I want to go like peeling back the layers of the onion. Before this was a business, it was time with family, and really, like you could have spent that time with the family going to the movies or doing other things, going to restaurants, whatever that might be. But like y'all chose to get outdoors with your family, and as you are aware, and the people listening are aware, this is the Tide to the Land podcast.
Yes.
And so I feel like the trajectory you guys are on is it's really due to you being rooted in the outdoors and being rooted in creating those experiences and those memories outside. So like living in a small town, moving to Bloomington, which is not a small town, but definitely not country by any means. Um, I love y'all's story because you're living the life that a lot of people live, where they've got neighbors and they drive to work every day and they're hitting stoplights and whatever. But like you guys are getting outside of that and that's where your family seems to find the most fulfillment and enjoyment together. So when, I guess, just talk about what that really means to you, like to be in the outdoors opposed to wherever else you could be, whatever else you could be doing.
Yeah. I mean, for us, when I started homeschooling, I have just fallen in love with learning outdoors. There's so much that can be taught in nature, and it's completely changed me. I know everybody that listens on here hunts. We have never
Not
hunted.
everybody. Not
Oh, okay.
everybody.
Well, Jake and I, we've always wanted to. We've never hunted. We hunted venture, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
anyways,
I like that. You
we
guys
like
can have
to.
t-shirts made that say "We Hunt Adventure."
You like that? I
Yeah,
would love
that's
that.
kind of catchy. You might trademark that or something.
Hey, you never know. But there was something about when we decided to live in town, we were like, wait a second, I don't know if we gotta find trails. And that's what's been the hardest about this journey with staying here in central Illinois is that there's just so much more to see and do, and we're stuck. We really,
Yeah,
truly are. But
yeah,
there's a lot of beauty when you get out of the town. Like there's a few that I would just mention off the top of my head: Merwin Nature Preserve and Funk's Grove, Sugar Grove Nature Center. There's a lot of places that when we go out and let our kids just be, um, there's a lot to be learned and beauty that's in it. My kids know more about bird watching than anybody I know. And actually, I'm falling in love with it too. And just seeing the beauty and simplicity of nature is what's brought us to realize, wait, I think we want to go see more. I think I want to get out more. And another thing I was just going to mention for Jake and I is that a few years ago we started something called 1,000 Hours Outdoors. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, or 1,000 Hours Outside. It's a homeschool mama that started this, and it's gone, worldwide, where they try to get families to spend at least 1,000 hours outdoors in 1 year, and you get a tracker and you do it as a family. And we started doing that, and it is hard, even as people who try to get outdoors, and it is beautiful. The stories that have come from people trying to get outdoors more are just phenomenal. And that's all to say, that's why I love what you guys do, is that being outdoors is very important. It's getting away from the normal routine, and getting outdoors is where you really truly, can bond as a family and learn. Sorry,
yeah.
Jake,
No,
I talk so much.
Mister.
Jake, do you have anything you would like to say?
Yeah, well, actually, so our last trip made it surreal because we were in Gatlinburg and it was crazy, crazy busy. I mean, it took an hour just to go a mile. And I'm like, I don't want this. I want to get out into the mountains and be by ourselves. And that's where we're the most happy. So
Yeah.
we want to move.
Yeah, I
Well,
love that. Well,
we
yeah,
want to
I'm
be
sure.
we want to be tourists. We just don't want to be with the tourists. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel that. I definitely feel that. Yeah, I can just picture you Googling like from Bloomington, Illinois, like hiking trails near me, and then like corn mazes pop up
So that
on
is
there.
100% accurate. That is 100% accurate.
Yeah, it's big farm country for those of you who've never passed through central Illinois. Lots of corn, lots of soybeans, not a lot of topography change. So if you're looking for a hike, don't expect to go uphill or downhill too much. But there's some places, some
Yeah.
hidden gems. You mentioned a few of them, and
And
so
Starved Rock, like you can't go wrong with Starved Rock. That's one of the
for
best.
sure. For sure. But that's so awesome that I love that 1,000 hours outside concept. That's really incredible. I've not heard of that. I'm going to look into that. And
Sure.
I love that y'all are molding your children through outdoor experiences. And I have to imagine that your faith comes into play at some point in that too. So, like, what is the spiritual connection like for you guys, either the two of you or all of you as a family, like when you're doing these things together outside?
Oh, would you like to talk?
Yeah,
I
I think we just grow together more. Like we connect. We're, real with each other. We're together. It's raw. We experience everything together. And
I mean, and with our faith, I mean, if we want to touch base on that,
Yeah,
I
please
mean,
do.
that was one of the biggest things that I think has changed and altered our family as a whole. When Jake and I first got together, I was just in the beginning of, or towards the beginning of my journey of finding Christ, and I'll let him speak for himself, but it was not necessarily there for him. And after he decided to give his life over to Christ, I just felt like our relationship shifted, and we want that to pour over onto our children. Every day is not easy. We really, especially with homeschooling, our children know so much about us. They know they know when we have a disagreement. Even Annie, my daughter Aniston, we call her Annie. She'll come in and she's like, "Ooh, I can tell you and Daddy, you guys are having a little problem." I'm like, "No, we're fine."
Yeah.
And I want our kids to see how a strong Christian marriage looks. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to keep fighting for each other. And when we get outdoors, God's just all around us. And I think that's why we love it so much, is because growing up in high school, I just had a lot of issues with anxiety. Andrew, you may not even know that, but I held it in a lot. And after following Christ and just learning to be vulnerable and be myself and talk about these things, I just feel like I'm just so much happier. Like, I'm so much
Yeah.
happier that I chose to have Christ in my life.
Yeah. That's awesome. I I feel so much closer to God when I'm outside, and it's not the only place. Of course, I go to church and pray with my wife and do things like that, read my Bible, whatever. But like something about experiencing His creation, it just hits a little differently,
Mhm.
And so I imagine that with you guys being, I don't want to label you in today's society, but being in a somewhat conservative family, um, you just feel closer to the Lord when you're out there doing that stuff. You're seeing these cool places.
Yes.
You're experiencing all of the beautiful nature that He put on this world for us. So yeah, that's amazing. Your kids, they seem like wonderful kids. So something, and I've never even met them, but just from following you guys, and I know that's just the world we live in, right?
Yes.
But you guys are doing something right, and I love the lifestyle that you guys represent as a family together. Because I think that's the other part of it that gets left out is, and something that's been weighing heavy on me, particularly lately, is like I love hunting, right? Well, sometimes I go hunting and it doesn't require me, I guess, but I leave my wife and my daughter at home, and then I'm hunting and I'm like, should I be with them? Should I be spending time with them? Should we be going on a hike together
Yeah.
instead of me sitting in a tree stand or doing something like that? And we do plenty of things outdoors together as a family, but that that guilt starts to weigh in on you of like, okay, am I doing this for me,
Yeah.
or should I be serving my family in another way? So the fact that y'all bottle it up and do it all together, that's just incredible. It
Well,
really
just so
is.
you know, Andrew, we definitely do things that benefit ourselves personally as well. So I think there's a balance, right? I think what you're doing is great. I can already tell you're a wonderful father, a wonderful husband. But Jake and I do have conversations about that a lot, where it's like, oh, actually, just recently, he's like, I really want to go golfing. I just want to go golfing, and I'm horrible at it. And so it's like some things are just not meant for the whole family, although the kids do want to go golfing, but
Right.
that's a different experience, right?
Sure.
That sometimes it's okay. But everyone has their own convictions. If you feel like you're doing it too much, then yeah, I could understand that. But I don't think it's a bad thing to want to hunt, on your own
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And we get out and do plenty of it together. Actually, my wife and I are getting ready to go on an elk hunt together
Yes, I
That's
saw
later
awesome.
this
that.
week. So pumped about that. We brought Livy. I think she was 2 months old when Julia shot an elk
Oh my goodness.
earlier this year. And so, Livy's been on some hunts too. She's not going to remember them one day, but we've got the
You
photos
will.
to
You'll
go. Yeah,
remember.
absolutely. No doubt. So I want to go back to something you said earlier. You're thinking about selling it all and like going and doing more of all the things we're talking about. Like, what does that really look like? What is that thought in your brain, that picture that you probably have vividly painted? what does that look like?
Well, that's another good question. Every day
It's
I
still,
wonder.
we don't know. We've been talking about it for years, just pick up and go somewhere where we're going to be happy. So we want to go out west. But I mean, I would still have to work, right now. And so just finding a job where I don't have to work as much and I can still go on hikes and stuff like that.
I mean, I think what's difficult is that it's not easy because our jobs, well, I guess technically the job that we're working right now is an online business, which is what I had prayed for. I had been praying, hey God, if you want us to do this, can you open some doors for us? And so when you said, Britt, it kind of feels like all of this is kind of happening very quickly. Same. I feel the same way you feel, Andrew, and it just makes me wonder if God's opening doors for us, but I just don't know how or what I'm supposed to do with those doors. And
Yeah.
so the only thing I can come up with is that if things work out to where brands want to work with us to help us get out of our home and travel, we will say yes to that opportunity. I will never, and Jake and I have talked about this, we'll never have this opportunity with our children again. We got the opportunity to homeschool them. We have a routine down. We can always come back, but we'll never get this opportunity again if it does pan out. And the visions that I get in my head is us literally in a camper. God bless it. Never thought I would say that because I have a sleep number bed that I love so dearly. But be in a camper where we just kind of wake up and we don't know what we're going to do for the day, but we know we're financially free. We're living it up. We're making memories with the kids. My husband, unfortunately, would still need to work, and he would be contracted all over the country. But if God wants us to bring him home, then great. We would be happy for that. But I don't know what we're doing. I've said that a few times. I apologize. I just kind of keep waking up each day going, I wonder what it's going to be like today. And it's been really exciting to see, so that's where
Yeah.
we're at.
I've got some friends that did that. His wife was a travel nurse, and he worked in a prison system as a I guess it'd be an officer or a security guard or something. Sorry, dude, if you listen to this, I don't know exactly what you did. But anyways, he stepped away from his job for a little bit, and she did the travel nurse thing, and they bought a camper and hauled it around and went and just saw different areas of the country and fly fished and did stuff like that. And I think
Cool.
if I was to connect you guys, they would tell you, like, absolutely go do it. Like, it was one of the most fulfilling times in our lives. And they have two young kids like you guys do, a little younger than yours. But yeah, I think it's awesome. I think you guys should do it. So what's holding you back?
Um,
I don't know, just
I think it's fear. I think it's
it's
fear.
the unknown.
And I think when you're a parent, you're like, okay, I want like right now we have our community, we have our homeschool community, they have their extracurricular activities, their safe zone. We're going to take all of that away. Are we being selfish for wanting this? I think I keep praying that I'm not making a selfish move with Jake.
Sure.
And the kids have been very open and honest. They're like, we'll do it, but are we coming back? So
family, I guess.
it's the family, and just the unknown. But I think that's the journey of faith, right? Is that you do step into the unknown, and that's what we preach: is getting uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you already said it. You can always come back. And I guess if I was to peer pressure you guys a little bit, one thing that I personally believe is that, like, we put life in a box where we make these life decisions, and in our mind, it's like this huge commitment that is going to tie up our life forever or alter our life forever. And it may in some ways, but, like, also, what's a year in the grand scheme of our lives? What's 2 years in the grand scheme of our lives? I mean, we were just talking earlier, like, we knew each other as kids and teenagers, and now
I know.
we're in our 30s and almost 40, and
Crazy.
like, a couple years is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And so I'm rooting for you guys to do it.
Thank you.
My opinion means nothing, but I think it'd be awesome, and y'all have a good thing going. But one question I did have for Jake, because you guys mentioned that he would still have to work if you did something like that. Jake, as a man, as a husband, as a father, like what's it like bearing that burden for your family of kind of knowing that if y'all were to make a leap of faith like that, you know, your financial situation would still be kind of on the weight of your shoulders outside of what you guys can earn from content creation and the other things that you're doing. But what do you wrestle with as a husband, as a father, with that type of decision?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough, and it's just praying about it, and staying strong and knowing that what we do, we will be all right. But it is tough financially. I want to support my family, right? That's my job. Take care of my kids, protect them, protect my wife, and be more vulnerable going out there, not knowing if I'm able to do that. What if I fail? But then it's like her stepping up with this business. It's like gives me more support and comfort. Like we're a team, so whatever we do, we back each other up, make each other strong. So we lean on each other a lot. So we don't have much support
We don't.
from our family. It's us. It's been us since we've been together, and we're raising our kids that way too. We're a close family. It's us four, and it's a burden. I hide it, but it's like most guys do.
Right.
But I just put my faith in God, knowing that whatever outcome, we'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the ability to take a chance, maybe fail, but maybe succeed, even in the failure, like if you are comfortable enough in yourself and your belief in yourself that like you can bounce back from whatever failure you have to endure, like I think that's the recipe, right? Like we could go right back to starting at nothing and we'll find a way to pull ourselves out of it, you know? And
Yeah.
honestly, like as far as the kids are concerned, like there's plenty of kids all across the world who they have nothing, but they live fulfilling, amazing
Right.
lives. And like you guys could have $0 in the bank account and your kids are getting to see these amazing places and like they're not going to worry about that. They're not going to remember that mommy and daddy had no money, you know?
So glad you
And
said that. Thank you for saying that. That's a good reminder.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a really beautiful thing you guys are talking about. Way easier said than done. So I totally get that. I've made a few big life moves myself, and it's never easy. And everybody from the outside looking in, like I'm doing right now to you guys, they're like, "Oh yeah, do it, do it, do it." But they're not the ones who are making those sacrifices, and it's hard. It's a hard thing. So I want to get into like how did y'all, if you don't mind sharing, how did y'all decide to start homeschooling your children, or what really brought that about? Is it something you guys had always planned on? Did it have more to do with the current climate and today's school systems? What allowed you to do that, and what gave you the inspiration to start homeschooling your kids?
Before COVID, I had gone to a few meetings with the board of Unit 5, and I started to see a pattern of a lot of unhappy parents, just pretty much describing what's going on today in most school systems. And I started to kind of wonder a little bit. And unfortunately, when our daughter, but went to kindergarten, it was during COVID. So we sent her off to kindergarten. We decided to do a private school. And I realized very quickly that this lifestyle that I had with my kids, waking up in the morning, not really sure what time it was. Maybe we're going to snuggle, maybe we'll go on a walk. Just the simple moments were completely ripped from me. Actually, it makes me tear up thinking about it. I had to hurry up and wake up my son, get my daughter in the car, make sure she had her, it's a very rushed morning that you're told will get better as you keep doing it. When I dropped my daughter off for the first time at kindergarten, I just felt like someone was ripping my heart out of my chest. And I kept getting told by everybody, you have to learn to let go. And it didn't sit right. Something didn't sit right. And so I started researching and started listening to podcasts while I was sitting and waiting on my daughter in the drive-through of picking her up. And I said, hey, Jake, do you mind listening to some of these podcasts? It kind of makes you think. It makes you think about how kids are kind of getting rushed to learn so quickly now. It's school's kind of turning into this thing where it's kind of like a daycare. And no, I mean, no disrespect to teachers, because I know so many teachers that have left the field because it's not what it used to be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so I started really praying about it. And oh my goodness, probably halfway through the school semester, I'm like, I want to homeschool. I have no idea what I'm doing. Am I going to ruin my child? And Jake was very supportive. He goes, I think you would do great. He goes, when you get your mindset on something, you learn, you go. And so I told my boss, hey, I just want to let you know I can only work 1 day a week because I'm going to homeschool. And he's like, okay. You're like, all right. And so I started doing that 4 years ago. Thought I would only do it for a year. And the principal said it's fine. He said it's fine, you know.
Yeah. Well, when you get back on that supporting your family, you know, I told her, you're not going to get these years back. I said, I'll make ends meet so you can stay at home and raise our kids. We're not going to get this time back with them. So spend as much time as you can. So we're making it work.
I appreciate that, but I don't want him working full time the rest of his life. So that's when I come in.
Yeah.
And
That
so-
means that you're with our kids and not
Yes,
somewhere else.
yes,
And
yes,
that's all it means to me.
But just to kind of touch base on why we homeschooled, we want more time with our kids. We think a foundation should be built, you know, with the family at home. I feel like our conversations are deep here. I feel like we have so many memories. We have a better connection than we did when I would send my kid off to school, because it was just such rushed time and we had extracurricular activities. Now we just, I mean, and there are days where I'm like, oh, I need to get out of this house right now. I don't want it to make it seem it's beautiful, but for the most part, I mean, we're on year 4. I thought I was only going to do 1 year. It's beautiful. Homeschooling's been beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so if you had to like give a plug to homeschooling and then also combat some of the myths or misinformation, I guess you could say, surrounding homeschooling, like what would you say? The pros of it, the beautiful parts of it, and then the things that, you know, you've been taught or it's been put into your brain your whole life about, oh, well, homeschool kids are weird, or
That was my first one.
Or they don't socialize, it'd be awkward. And
Well, do you have any things that you've noticed from the outside? That you
so
wanna say?
I thought homeschool was kids by themselves with their own parents, you know, and they don't go outside and explore. And then the homeschool community is huge here. Like so many people do it. So she's in so many groups and like they meet up with kids twice a week and they go to birthday parties, Valentine parties. Like I see more kids homeschooled than I did when she was in class. And I think the kids just thrive with it. I mean, it's just crazy how much they learn, how much they tell me. All the friends they know, they still do sports and stuff like that. So it's like, I think it's more an advantage to be homeschooled than to be sent to school.
And we do get a lot of questions, kind of like what you were saying, Andrew, where, and I don't take offense to it anymore, because I used to be in that aisle of like, well, aren't homeschool kids weird? And my funny saying I always say is they were destined to be weird. I mean, they're related to me, for goodness sakes, but
Yeah.
I think they are weird that they're different. You know, they can have conversations, and I'm just saying this broadly. My children can have conversations with people at the store, older people, because they're used to having conversations that are not just in their age group. I do feel they're a bit more emotionally mature. They get more sleep. These are just things that I've noticed in my family. And yes, there are some situations I've noticed in homeschooling where I'm like, because in the state of Illinois, you really don't have a lot of regulations. And for that, I'm really grateful. I want the freedom to be able to homeschool our family the way we please. But that also gives opportunity to kind of never bring your kids out of the home, if you know what I mean. There might be some that I am concerned about. But if you are a parent that loves your kids so much, you are going to try and do everything possible to make sure that they have a really good experience being educated. And that's what Jake and I did. We sat down, we're like, let's get in all these groups and let's ask questions. And I'm actually on the board of one of these co-ops with 100 families because I want to make sure that I'm planning really fun field trips for these kids. And it's just really beautiful to see how it unfolds. It's not for everybody. I really, really try to make sure I say that because I don't want people to think if you don't homeschool, your kids aren't happy or educated. Not true at all. I think it all starts at home with the foundation, regardless of the decision that you choose. However, if you choose to homeschool, it is a very, very hard job, but extremely rewarding.
Yeah, I imagine so. Julia and I, my wife, we've talked about it a lot. And, unfortunately for her, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it and who you are, it would probably land on her shoulders to homeschool our children. And me, selfishly, I would love nothing more than for my kids to have more time with their mother and learning from their mother. And, but I would be at work. And so that's not something that we're forcing, but totally open to it. And so I wanted to get into that conversation a little bit today for anybody else who's ever thought about it, is thinking about it, wants to do it, doesn't want to do it. I think it's good to talk about with where things are at in our society today and the school systems and COVID and furries, as I think they call them. And,
Yes.
there's a lot of things happening that it wasn't like that when we were in school. Things are different now. And it's really refreshing to me to at least start to see people think more openly about some of these topics, to maybe listen and do some of their own research and independent study to figure out, okay, this is what we've been told our whole life, but maybe things are different. Maybe I have the wrong perception. And so I think homeschooling is a great thing. And like you said, it's probably not for everybody, but I think if you're feeling the weight of what you described earlier, like, hey, maybe this isn't right for our family, I think it's worth their consideration. So would you say that like finding a co-op or finding like a group is probably the best thing that you could do? I mean, I don't, I'm pretty naive to how it all works at this point, but like there's probably very few people who are just like homeschooling in their own little bubble.
Mhm.
Right? Is that fair to say? Like
Yeah.
most people are associated with other homeschool families.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, from what I can see, I think that would be my biggest recommendation. When we first started, I tried recreating the school day at our house. We have a learning room. I was going to go, okay, from 7 to 8, we're going to do some reading. And then from
Yeah.
8 to 9, and I realized that was just not. So I actually started reading. I had even wrote down because I didn't want to forget. I think the author's name is Julie or Julia, might be your wife,
Yeah.
Bogart. It's called The Brave Learner. And I started opening my mind up to what does education look like? Does it look like a piece of paper that has an A on it? And you've opened up the book and you've read from what they told you to read, or does learning look a little bit more different where, okay, we're outside and you're passionate about learning about birds. Let's look at all these birds, listen to what they're saying. Let's journal these and write what these birds are. Let's learn with science. It's different now. I honestly believe I would have loved learning when I was younger if I could have looked at education a little bit differently and not about how can I get a good grade so that I can be in sports. And
Yeah.
that's honestly how it was for me. I didn't and
Yep. Yep.
we were talking about that. We just cared about grades so that our parents were happy and that we could be in sports. And now, as a 34-year-old, I am excited to go to the Abraham Lincoln Museum. Okay.
Right.
It's just homeschooling does it to you. I don't know. I just hope that parents that are listening, if you don't want to homeschool, that's okay. But just know that learning can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be necessarily graded. It's important that your kids know how to function in society. I want my kids to know math and I want them to know reading and writing. But all the other stuff is really, truly fun. If I look back in time, I don't remember half of the stuff I learned, but I'm still doing decent as an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel on it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. I appreciate y'all sharing that and doing a little bit of a deep dive. I hope everybody listening can appreciate that. What does a typical day look like before we leave the homeschooling topic? Like, obviously you guys are getting to spend time in the outdoors sometimes, but like, is there a typical day? What does that look like normally?
Yeah, that's kind of hard. This year's been different because of this business. It's kind of now changed it to where mom is working a lot. And that's why when we hit the 6 month mark here in 2 weeks, I'm going to reevaluate some things because I'm not going to start this to where I'm not going to be with my family as much. So if that involves me kind of backing off, then so be it. But before this business started, we would usually start our day by watching the bus drive by with tea. And then I just,
That was
we,
kind of savage.
Aniston has a passion for piano. She's in ballet and Noah's in swim. And so because we homeschool, we can kind of do them in the daytime so that
Hmm.
in the evenings we can be together as a family. I think that's what's really been lost is that there is no at-home dinners really anymore. You're kind of on the go. And I'm not saying we aren't
Yeah.
on the go because we are, but we really try to focus on, being at home and together. So a typical day Annie will start her language arts. While she's doing that, I will work with Noah. Because their age range, I have to teach Noah everything, but Annie is at a point where she's able to read a lot of her things and I can check it. We have typing. Noah and Annie both do math. We try to use a curriculum that if my kids have to go to private school or school in general, they can kind of transfer in easily. And there's different philosophies of homeschooling. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we kind of nitpick a little bit of all of them to where it's like we want our kids to learn, but we don't want to shove tons of stuff down their throat. We want them to, like, if we want to learn about sharks for a month, we're going to learn about sharks for a month. And I'm going to figure out how can I incorporate reading? How am I going to have them writing about it? What kind of cool science project could we do with it? And it just kind of gets you to step back and think, learning can be fun. So as long as I have like I told you, their basic reading, writing, math, science and history are fun for us. Sometimes for history, we do a curriculum called Story of Our World. It's a beautiful book that you could easily read to your children. It's the kids ask to read it all the time. We're talking about the Romans, and we're eating snacks on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's different and it's unique and it's beautiful. So each day is different though. That's what I was going to say, Andrew. Depending on the curriculums and the co-ops and the field trips, we try to get our schoolwork done in the morning. If it doesn't work and the day's nice, we're not doing school that day. We're going outside and we're going to be hiking and then we'll do it on Saturday. That's our motto. That's
Yeah.
another day. And we teach year round, I should say that too. So we can take breaks. We're learning in the summer. And if we want to go on vacation, I might just bring one subject. And then, if we're going to a national park, well, we're going to be learning the history of that national park.
Well, and the cool thing is, like, wherever we go, Annie will research and make a presentation and show it to us on our computer of like the
wow.
birds, the food, the
the
locals,
currency, if there is
everything
one.
they do there, and then she presents it to us. So it's learning, and we're exploring. So
Yeah,
That's so cool. So she's kind of involved in the little business in a way as well, right?
she
Doing
is.
like the research and analytics team of your business.
She is. Yeah, in a way.
and the main thing we push is, like, at the end of the day, we do a family walk. We call it a nature walk. So we always walk around our neighborhood, and then we'll find different things and look it up. But we always prioritize family and outside, and
100%.
then just love
Yeah.
it.
That's why
That's
our house
awesome.
is a mess because we prioritize those things. Honestly, this is the
Well,
cleanest part of our house right here, by the way.
I was going to say, it looks great. It looks
you,
very
thank you.
clean put together. Yeah, great backdrop. Um, so I guess I have to ask, like, what are some of y'all's favorite adventures that you've taken either individually, as a family, as two married individuals? I mean, which ones stand out in your mind the most right now? I feel like we should get into those as we wrap up here pretty soon.
I'm going to let you go first because
Yeah.
I could talk all day.
Yeah,
we
I
already
can
know
say
that.
individually, I think it'd be Iceland.
Oh,
Like,
my.
we've been there twice, and I would literally move there. It's just beautiful. There's so much. Everything's outdoors, right? So I mean, you got volcanoes, you got ocean, you got glaciers, you got all the hiking and camping you want to do.
Talk about God being
Yes.
in
Talk about
one country.
breathtaking.
I mean, there's just so many. How many times on our trips have we looked at landscapes and we go, how can you not believe in such a higher power in God? I mean, and I know you get that because I'm sure you've just been on such beautiful trips. It is, I'm going to have to agree with him, is that for a couples trip, Iceland, hands down, if you're seeking adventure and relaxation. But as a family, seeing our kids go out of the country for the first time, I I can't get over how many times people told us, you guys are going to have kids, you're not going to be able to do much. And yes, in the beginning, it is hard. There were moments we went on trips that I wanted to cry because Jake was trying to get one to take a nap, and Annie's eating sand on the beach, and I'm trying to just sit and read one page of my book. But then it just goes away, and you're like, wait, I'm going to try not to cry. The kids are so much older, they're more independent now, and they're playing together, and Jake and I can like hang out. Like, this is crazy. Taking them on their first trip out of the country and seeing their eyes light up to see culture and talking to people and trying new experiences, I cannot tell you. And that one was Exuma in the Bahamas, which, if you guys have
Yeah.
never been, it's such an amazing island. But that would be one that I would recommend.
Yeah, that's awesome. So many beautiful places in this world, all just beautiful in their own ways and all handcrafted by God. But it really starts to sink in when I start thinking about how He put those things here for our use and our enjoyment. And so they're meant to be used and enjoyed and experienced. And y'all are doing that. And I
Be
think it's great.
respected, which is a hard one to really get out there, is to respect the land, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we preach that all the time, of course, being in rural real estate, our ties to the land and taking care of it and cultivating it and respecting it. It's something we're really passionate about, which leads me to, I'm curious, y'all are seeking the world, experiencing the world. There's so many cool national parks and places that are available to us for little to no money. But do you guys have any aspirations of land ownership yourselves, like as a family? Do you desire to have any acreage in the country or have chickens or do anything like that? I'm curious.
I just get me those chickens, that garden and sourdough. I mean, let's go. Yes, we do talk about that very often.
Yeah, that's a big dream of ours. Like, if we do sell and move, I honestly don't want to come back. I want to stay out west where it's nice and we can have our own land. We can be out in the country and pretty much do what we want, enjoy our lives without being in a huge city.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're passionate about land ownership here, but also I think I've really enjoyed looking at the flip side of that, whereas like what you guys are doing right now, you said you desire to own land at some point and live in the country at some point, but like you're still experiencing the same things that we experience as landowners or people who live in the country. Like, you're getting out of your bubble inside of town and you're getting out into the country, and that it's really the same thing. They're parallel, whether you own land right now or whether you don't. And so that's the story we try to tell here, is that just get outside, get on the land, and if you're lucky enough and blessed enough one day to have your own, no matter who you are, I think more good things will come from that. So
I love it.
yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate your guys' time, and I've really enjoyed this. An
We
hour
have too.
flies
Thank
by.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, wish you guys the best. Where's the next adventure again? Did
We're
you say?
actually going back to Utah for winter. We're going to
Okay.
showcase some winter adventures, do some snowmobiling. Actually, Jake and I have never gone skiing, so that should be interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited.
Cool. Well, that's going to be great. Looking forward to seeing all the content that comes from that. And if somebody wants to follow you guys, where can they follow you at?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and maybe soon YouTube. It is at @Venture Seekers with a V as in Victor, and we would love to have you. It's a party. We'll say that.
Yeah, no doubt. Cool. Well, good luck to you guys. Thanks for your time. My name's Andrew Schultz. This is Jake and Brittany Frink. This is the Tied to Land podcast, which I think I already said. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.